What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. And in today's video, we're going to talk about the 2025 Giants schedule release that was dropped last night across the NFL. What I'm going to go ahead and do here is just share my screen, hopefully, so we can dive into it. I want to talk about potential amount of wins and losses. I want to talk about some other things specifically along the lines like when and will we see Jaxon Dart potentially play based on how this season goes. Um, so I hope everything's coming through okay. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so we can walk through it here. And if there is chat feedback and stuff along those lines, I will be sure to answer it at the end, just so I could get through this and talk about it from there. I think first and foremost, the one thing that always bothers me a little bit is just how much, um, you're looking at two home preseason games, one versus the Jets, one versus the Patriots. And I always just feel bad for the season ticket holders that do have to actually pay for that because I don't know. At this point, no one wants to go to preseason games. Really, there's only like one half of where you actually get to see action. So I do feel bad about the people that have season tickets and have to pay for that because I think it's worthless. But anyway, let's get started. Let's dive into things here. Week 1, September 7th, 1 p.m. game on the road in Washington. You got a whole new look Commanders team here. You got Jaden Daniels going into his second season. They brought in Debo Samuel in the offseason. So this is a Commanders team that's on the rise. They had that huge win against the Lions on the road in the playoffs last year. They got, I'm pretty sure, crushed by the Eagles. Um, so you're looking at a team that had success with a rookie quarterback early on for the first time in his career. Will there be a sophomore slump for Jaden Daniels? I'm not sure. Time will tell. He looked really good. I enjoyed watching him play. I think it was a good change of pace. And honestly, as much as I hate and it pains me to see good quarterbacks come through elsewhere in the division, this is something that's constantly been happening throughout the last decade or so. So I'd rather play good teams, right? And you have to beat good teams. So with that, I think week 1 on the road, I got the Commanders winning this one. Let me just get my little notebook going. So I will mark us down for a loss there. Week 1, it's going to be a close game. Could be a potential win though. Let's see how things are looking after preseason and injuries and stuff like that could happen. Week 2 on the road, another two divisional matchups to start the season. Let's also just say week 1 last year, or the Commanders last year versus the Giants went 2-0 versus the Giants. The Cowboys have historically owned the Giants as well as the Eagles for the last decade, give or take. But I think this changes in week 2. We will have the Giants beating the Cowboys in Jerry's world. The Cowboys have made some offseason moves. Dak's always hurt in that perpetual injury designation next to his name. They did trade for George Pickens, who I don't think they by week 2 will have enough rapport between the two to get Pickens going. So the Giants will do a good job of trying to contain as best as anyone can CeeDee Lamb. So I got the Giants winning that one. They start 1-1. We'll talk about all of this as the season goes on. If this is the first time you guys are seeing my channel, I do previews for every single Giants game as well as film reviews. I don't go as detailed as some of the other YouTubers out there from a Giants fan perspective and breaking down, the footage of the whatever all 11. But with that, I want to just go into week 3 for the Giants' first home opener. It will be versus the Chiefs Sunday Night Football. I mean, it looks like there are quickly 3 primetime games this year, which looks to be a little bit less than what they would schedule in the Giants for previously. I felt like every other week last year and the last few years, we're watching Daniel Jones, can't say his name, Daniel Jones get his ass kicked in primetime and be like 1 in like 16 or something stupid. So with that, I think the Chiefs continue to roll with where they have been the last few seasons. This will be another loss for the Giants, so we'll start 1-2. And the you can't really go against the Chiefs too much until we start to see it happen. I thought there would be a fall off this year. And Mahomes, what they go, they went 15-1 or something, and eventually just lost in the Super Bowl and got their asses kicked. But the real person who had a tremendous fall off was Travis Kelsey, and it didn't really impact the rest of their offense. So similar to Josh Allen, kudos to Mahomes for making random guys on this team good, even though he is getting paid to do so. That's what MVPs do. Week 4 versus the Chargers. I'm going to give the Giants a win here. We'll be 2-2 after week 4. I think John Harbaugh and that Chargers team really haven't figured it out all yet, and he's getting readjusted to being back in the NFL and coaching this team. I love Justin Herbert. He is probably one of my favorite quarterbacks in the NFL right now. He's someone that the Giants really were keeping a close eye when he was getting drafted originally, and then I think he stayed an extra year, and we didn't get a chance to get him. Um, but I do think the Giants get this one done at home, bouncing back. Then that brings us to week 5 versus the Saints on the road in the Superdome. I'm going to mark this down for a win here because this is a Saints team where they have a lot of things going on there right now in terms of uh, Derek Carr just retired. Not that he had all too much success there the last few seasons, but he was getting paid a lot of money, and um, what do they do there? The draft happens, and I don't know if I can't remember off the top of my head if they actually you know made decisions to draft guys. I feel like they might have taken a quarterback at some point, or they were thinking about it. But Carr retired after the draft, so it didn't took them out of quarterback contention, and they still have Taysom Hill and stuff. But I think the Saints are in a weird spot. They had those years where they would go to the NFC Championship or deep in the playoffs every single season and get screwed by the refs. Once that happens a couple times in a year, we've. I mean, I can't say the Giants. We've seen this, but other teams, once you start getting screwed, your window closes and then it's shut, and then you're kind of in the bottom of the barrel. That's where I see the Saints going this next season, which will get the win there. Week 6, I'm not going to talk too much about it. Short week, Thursday night football at home, huge game. I'm going to mark that as a loss until the Giants can beat the Eagles. I won't ever say that we will, or until I get to actually see it with my own eyes. Defending Super Bowl champs. I feel like they've only continued to get better. Saquon revenge game Thursday night. Schedule makers definitely wanted to do this earlier, so Saquon probably won't be hurt by then. So he could run the ball down John Mara's face. They could show him 20 times in the booth and laugh at the Giants while Saquon goes off for 200 yards. Okay, week 7 versus the Broncos. Russell Wilson revenge game at Mile High Stadium. I'm going to mark that down for a win. 4:05 game that Sunday. Again, then you play the Eagles on the road, week 8, 2 times in 3 weeks. And this is what's happened traditionally with the Giants and the Eagles scheduling. I felt like the Cowboys and the Giants would always be like, we'd play the Cowboys early in the season and then play them middle or towards the end. With the Eagles recently, the last few years, I feel like the Commanders have had a good balance from when we play them. Like, it's almost like 2 different teams when you play them, which I think is the way football should be. You're a completely different team when you start the season compared to where you finish. The last few seasons, the Giants have always been, we're playing the Eagles in like we're going to play them twice in the last month of the season. Last year, you saw it, and they benched Saquon because they already had the division wrapped up, and it didn't even matter. Like, they had a playoff spot locked up. So, it's nice to see them play the Eagles more in the meat and the chunk of the season, but 2 times in 3 weeks, I don't really understand why divisional games are scheduled like that. Maybe someone else can explain this to me, why it's specifically the Giants and the Eagles. But again, that's week 8, so I have to mark that down for another loss. Again, until I can see the Giants beat the Eagles with my own eyes, I can't say that we'll ever beat them because look at the stats themselves. I could post it after this and show you like what it is, but it's been horrific. And okay, anyway, to week 9, I will give the Giants a win here, getting to 5-4 um, at home, November 2nd. I bet that's going to be a lovely day too. Early November, love that. New Jersey. I think the 49ers are in a very weird position where all of their best players, like McCaffrey, was really hurt and injured last year. He might be done. Who the hell knows there? Debo, gone. Ayuk was hurt last year. How does he step up? Kittle, another year older. The left tackle, why am I blanking on his name? Trent Williams right now. What happens to him? Where does he get? Like, he's getting older too. So that core that they have and is very getting older. Their defense is more vulnerable. We saw that last year, and they're getting closer to a time where they're gonna have to say, "Are we going to invest in Brock Purdy?" But somehow they have great coaching. Doesn't matter who's playing running back there; they usually find a way to make it work. But I'm still going to give us the win in this case. Dable out coaches Shanahan. We're on to week 10 versus the Bears on the road, Soldier Field. Um, I'm going to give us another win there. Probably going to be a wonky game. Caleb Williams, tape's still out on him. My thoughts are still out on him. I don't really know how he's looking so far. I feel like they took a tight end too in the first round, so I don't know what the Bears are doing. Again, similar to what I just said about the Giants beating the Eagles, until the Bears can put together a competent team and be like threatening, um, I think we have a chance of beating them. Next up, we play the Packers. I will give the Packers a win here. So we're still 6-5. The Packers, I think, have a really good team offensively. They have weapons and guys that they move around and are very. They have good coaching. They have Jordan Love. I love the wide receiver Reed. There, if you guys recall, a couple years ago when the Giants played the Packers, I think Reed was hurt for a little bit, and one of his first games back was versus the Giants. And I was watching this game, I was like, never heard of this guy before, and they would get him so creatively involved in terms of screens, in terms of reverses. So that was some guy that really think that they used him well. I think the Packers are on the uphill here, which brings us to our next game where we will move to 6-6 with a loss against the Lions on the road. The Lions have kind of been one of the cream of the crop teams led by their coach Dan Campbell over the last few years. Um, they've just done an excellent job of building, a culture, and that culture right now would, I don't think the Giants culture has changed a little bit, but it's not the alpha mentality that the Lions have. So in that game, you'll probably see the Lions enforce their will, run the ball down the Giants' throat, and just beat up a lot of our defenders because I do like our defense, and it is changed with Abdul Carter, and I love Dexter Lawrence, and Bobby Okereke, but a lot of the guys on the defense, especially edge rushers, are soft. And right now, I think the Lions have better coaching, and they'll take advantage of that. Next up, you have the Patriots. I'm going to mark the Giants down for a win there. Up at Foxborough, December 1st. So currently 7-6 going into the bye week. Patriots are still trying to figure their shit out. Commanders again. I can't remember if I said we'll lose on the road earlier. Week 1, we'll beat them at home as the Giants are starting to come alive here. So 5, 6, 7, 8, and 6 right now. Moving into the Vikings at home. JJ McCarthy. I'm going to give the Giants another win here. They beat the shit out of the Giants at home last season to start the season. That game set the tone for the entire season for how big of a joke it was. Um, so I think the Giants remember that and take advantage of a young JJ McCarthy who's maybe 16 games into his season if he's not injured, and they take advantage and beat them up there. Next, they have the Raiders. That will be another win for the Giants. So here we go. The Giants have a 10-win season right there off the bat. Uh, or wait, did I do this? 1, 2, or I'm at 11-6. And then we'll beat the Raiders, and then we will lose to the Cowboys January 3rd, which is a 11-7 season. Brian Dable gets back to double digits, and Yeah, that's truly the most optimistic version of the Giants schedule that probably anyone will see across YouTube. I am feeling very big and back to optimistic Giants fan Bob here after the way that this draft went. So obviously, just because I think we had a good draft doesn't mean it's going to shake out this year. It takes years to build teams, but I think last season the Giants, as bad as the season went itself, did a good job in terms of bringing in some guys in the core that they could develop long term to be successful. And in that regard, you're talking about a good running back, Tyrone Tracy. Now, this year you added another guy later on, Cam Scatabo, who will also share the load too. So we're building there. The quarterback room got insanely better compared to what it was before, where it was Jones and Drew Lock and Tommy DeVito and Tim Boyle. Now you're looking at a refreshed Giants quarterback room with Jameis Winston, Russell Wilson, again, Tommy DeVito, but Jaxon Dart, who looked great in the rookie minicamp. Again, take that all with a grain of salt. He's coming off of a great season and he's a rookie. He wants to look good, and 7-on-7, there's no pass rush. So it's just all about learning. I want to spend more time talking about it in another video, but let's take it with a grain of salt, even though I just said I'm being incredibly optimistic here. So wide receiver room, remarkably better after Malik Neighbors last year, getting the second year in. Offense will be better because we can actually throw the ball. Offensive line should be better because how could it be any worse? Tight end added a guy through the draft in Fedone. Tight end room, you got Theo Johnson coming back. Bellinger still trying to make a statement. So um, I think to touch on where I think no one joined in the chat, nothing coming on here. So okay. Just wanted to check in on there. But one big question for this is where might we see Jaxon Dart play? And if the Giants are doing well, we probably won't see him play much. And this will be a dilemma for this season. Is if the Giants are playing bad and say they go like 1-4 or 1-5, because it is a tough schedule, right? And I just gave us 11 wins somehow. But if the Giants start off bad, people are going to be clamoring to see Jaxon Dart play, throw him into the fire, kind of what happened with Eli Manning his first year when he was drafted. If Russell Wilson finds a fountain of youth or is, mildly successful, I think they'll stick with him and just let Jaxon Dart learn and, learn from Russell, learn from Jameis how to be an NFL quarterback and take it from there. Um, so that's my thought on the schedule. I'll do an update on some other stuff soon, but I just wanted to get this one done because this was something that came out last night, and I had some thoughts on it and didn't want too much time to go by before before it fell into the past. But there we go. First glimpse at the schedule, first reaction, 11-7. I'm sure it'll change from now between when the season starts and as the season goes on. But yeah, late bye this year, 12 games before bye. And first home game is week 3. So hopefully I'll see you guys there. Have a good one.